Let's get some paint in this thing and see how good it sprays. Hi, I'm Ron Paulk. Welcome to the Smart Wood Shop. This is part 3. If you want to see why I chose an HVLP over the other systems available, and particularly why I chose the Titan 115 cap spray over the other models available on the market, you can watch video 1, and then video 2, I go through some of the details on just sort of discovering this particular HVLP. As I made clear in the other videos, I'm not a painter. I'm a woodworker, home builder, designer. I hire painters to get my work done. In fact, right now, I'm working on this estate project that this shop is located in the middle of and getting a lot of painting done. The entire exterior of all the buildings is being repainted, and I've hired a crew that I've used for years, and it's a big job. Their contract is in excess of $50,000. But as a remodeler, and now as the fact that I'm retiring from client work and I'm going to be doing my own work, picking up houses that need work, fixing them up, I'm going to be doing a lot of my own spraying. And I've done a bunch in the past when it's been really small jobs. I've sprayed trim, I've sprayed drywall, I have a sprayer for that. So I've done a fair amount of painting, but I'm still not a painter, and there's a lot that I don't know. And every time I paint, I really have to think about things. Unlike carpentry, doing crown and cutting miters and hanging doors, it's so second nature that I just grab the tools and do it. But I spend a lot of mental energy when it's time to paint, thinking about what kind of paint to use, what cleaning solutions I need, thinning the paint, the sprayer I'm going to use, the size of the tip, the pattern, getting the flow right, all of that kind of stuff. So my hope or my goal in this is that to show you that if I can paint, you can paint. Now, obviously, having good equipment is the first start, because like with anything in life, whether it's carpentry tools or camera gear or paint equipment, the goal isn't to have the best and fanciest. The goal is to have equipment that gets out of your way, that doesn't prevent you from doing a good job, that doesn't become a stumbling block. And so that's been kind of my goal with all of the equipment that I purchase, is that I never look for the lowest price. I always look for the best value, meaning the tool for the money I invest will give me the best results with my skills. All right, so now to set this up, again, this will be the very first time, and a lot of you have a lot more experience than I do. And so my hope is that there's more going to be learned in the comments to this video down below. I'm encouraging you, when you see me do something wrong or you know of a better way, comment, because then other viewers that see me do something and see that I may struggle with it or wonder about it, and if they read your comments, then they can dialogue, or at least read the dialogue and go, okay, I saw how Ron did it, but if he would have just done this, then he would have saved time or got a better job. So this is your video, this is for you, and so you're really going to make it a good video by commenting down below. Okay, so again, I have the Titan Cap Spray 115. This is the 6-stage HVLP. It is the only 6-stage turbine on the market. All the other brands stop at 5. They also have a 5. And according to their marketing and advertising, that this is the only turbine on the market, the only turbine that you can buy that can achieve full HVLP capacity. Whatever that means, they say it in their marketing. So just so you know, that was, again, you can get full HVLP with other types of systems, but when you're going with a turbine, which is the portable version that I need, again, this is the only one that can reach full HVLP capacity, which I think has to do with atomization of thicker paints and things like that. So let's set it up. First off, I have 3 needles set up, cap needle setups for this. I have the 3, the 4, and the 5. 3 being a smaller hole, 5 being a bigger hole. I was going to immediately put in the 5 because this Scuffex that I'm using from Benjamin Moore is a thick, you know, it's an enamel, I believe. It's not saying that anywhere, but it's thicker. And so I thought, well, I'd just go with the largest needle that I have. But I talked to the technical department at Titan, and they said, start with a 4. The goal is to use the smallest setup, the smallest cap needle setup that will do the job, because you'll get better atomization. So we're going to start with the 4, and I'm going to, if I don't get the results I want, then I'm going to step up to the 5. So I'm going. Right now it came with the 3 on it, so I am going to, the first thing I'm going to do is change that. Now, with the setup, I got the accessories, some extra accessories, and this little toolbox on it, which I didn't demonstrate very well in the last video, but I had a chance to play with it and organize it and realize that it holds everything. The needles here snap in, the cap, the 3 pieces for each size, and then the tool to change it also snaps in there. So everything I need is on board. So when I pull this one off, it'll go in there and the right size will come out. So I am going to go with the 4, and it's clearly labeled on it, kind of wedges in there. So it says 4 right on it, stamped on it, and then I have to get the appropriate needle. And it's a little harder to read, but it's also on there on the side, and this says 4. And to remove the needle, I have to take the front of the gun off, and you don't need a tool to do that. There's a little lever. I'll pull that back and just rotate it off, and that slides right out there. Okay, so this just drops in the back here, and this will be how I clean it up as well. Completely take it apart, clean this out. And this can go on 2 ways. It can rotate so that it's up for gravity feed, but in this case I want it down for just about every case. You can see it kind of starts, you can tell it's going to go that way. I want to get it wrapped to the other side so that the port for the fluid to go in is to the bottom, and it locks right in and the lock clips. So pretty straightforward. I don't want to get paint on my street clothes, and I have a couple of pairs of painter's coveralls that I've had for years, and they're great. I slip them on whenever I'm going to paint, no matter what I'm wearing. And unfortunately, I've put away most of my paint stuff, so at least I've got this t-shirt that will give me a little protection. So I'm working with all those adjustments, and I'm just not getting a good spray. And I'm thinking, well, maybe I don't have the viscosity right. I'm not sure what the problem is. And I had the remote cup hook hanging on the workbench, and it was covered by the painter's tarp. And when I looked down, I saw a bunch of orange paint on the floor. And so when I looked, I
realized that I had tightened the fluid hose to the bottom side of the gun, but I had not tightened it to the remote cup. And so I was losing my material down there, at least a good portion of it. As soon as I tightened it, of course, I took a few minutes and cleaned everything up, but got it all tightened, and all of a sudden, all the settings were working, and I was starting to really like what I was seeing. I still had a lot to learn, but at least when I was making adjustments, I was starting to see the differences. So a little operator error there, but it'll be on my checklist to make sure I don't miss next time.
First off, I had made a mistake and I did not tighten the other end of the material tube coming from the 2-quart pot. So I was having a little difficulty in the beginning. It was kind of under the drop cloth here, so I didn't see it leaking. And so no matter what I did to adjust, I couldn't get things to quite work out. So then I kind of looked down, I saw paint all over the floor. I cleaned that up and tightened it up. And then I got a lot better results. The paint was coming out good. I played with the adjustment up front here, in and out, to do with how far you are from the material. And obviously I was playing with my distance. I was also playing with how much material I let flow through, and then also how much air. So a long way from knowing what I'm doing, but I'm not dissatisfied. Maybe I put on too much material, and of course I was spraying and overspraying because I was kind of just watching the pattern. I was looking for overspray. So I'm pretty impressed with the control of how straight of an edge I get. I put it on the angle, which gave me that circle, but then it took me a little adjustment to get the material coming out at the right amount. I had it on too much material coming out, squeezing the trigger all the way, so I was getting too big of a spot, because that's what I want to paint like fences and narrow things with. And so I figured that out by turning the material flow down, which reduces the trigger motion. That helped. And then with the air, I just felt like that no matter what I was doing, I was better off with the air all the way up and this on high. Could be the material. Obviously, if I'm doing a clear finish or something, that could be quite different. What I'm going to do for myself is, I did the sample to do some testing of different things on the other side of this board. Then I flipped it over. I got a little better results on this. So then I took this one and I sprayed the whole thing out, and I'm going to let this dry out. I want to see what it would look like if this were a cabinet or my workbench or something like that. Right now it looks a little not real smooth. It's a little orange peel looking, and so there's a lot of things that it could be. Is that I don't have the settings right, which is probably most of it, but also do I have the viscosity of the material right? According to the viscosity cup, I was still, even with the full amount of Floetrol in it, which has nothing to do with the machine, just measuring it with the cup, if I had the right specifications of 30 to 35 seconds, I was still getting well over a minute, even with the 8 ounces per quart. So maybe mixing in more. Also, the other thing I didn't do was possibly trying the bigger tip, because I went with the 4, went in the middle, and also going with the small one and try it. So in this video, I just wanted to get some paint through it and get a look at it. Me, the first time using a very difficult material, very thick material to spray, and only playing with one nozzle at this point. I'm pretty impressed. I feel confident that after I have, I don't know, a few gallons of material, I will be pretty comfortable with my adjustments. Right now, there's just so many things to do with the material flow, with the airflow, with the size of the tip, with the air. I forget what they call this, but the adjustment on the front, which has to do with changing the pattern from your distance. So there's a lot of flexibility in how you set it up. So I've got to just keep experimenting. And so what you'll get to see, I'm not going to show you all of that. In fact, I'm gonna stop here myself and clean up. But when I get on one of my flips and I need to pull this out, I'm going to probably at that point in time set up and do, when I've got space and I'm not in a shop that I don't want to get it on the floor and all my camera gear and all the things that I'm trying to be careful of here, I was able to stay pretty clean. I got it on my drop cloth, and when it leaked on the floor, of course. I didn't see that, so I got that cleaned up. But you know, I got my iPad right here, I've got a camera right above, a camera right there, I've got myself, and I don't see any paint on my shorts, which hopefully I didn't get any on there. So a lot of control. I put the mask on just because, you know, trying to stay healthy. I just want to make sure I wasn't breathing anything in, even stuff I couldn't see. So I did that. Might not have been necessary, but it doesn't hurt to have a little extra safety. So I don't know if you learned anything from this other than just kind of follow me along, because you saw where you're seeing where I started, what I chose, why I chose it, and how I started. So when you see me do the flips and you see me painting trim and doors, when you see them come out beautiful, and they will, you can see where I started, and in fact, it's just a learning process. I will probably, again, in a situation where I have a lot of room, like on an OSB or a framed floor, when I don't have finish down and I got a lot of palette to work with, I will probably, I'll set up my material, I'll deal with just my material viscosity. That'll be the only thing I'll change. I'll do that, and then once I feel like that's close, then I'll play with the material flow, just that, and then do some samples and tests until I have a real good feeling for that. And then I'll isolate the air flow, and I will play with just adjusting that, so I'll get to see what each thing does. And of course, they all have to work together. It's a chorus to get it all just right. But there are some excellent painters that are subscribers and watch this channel. You've seen what I've done here. So, and obviously I didn't do it right. So I would love to have your comments. Teach me how to do this, how to get better, and help me skip a few steps, and get right to, maybe instead of having to blow through 2 or 3 gallons before I dial it in, maybe I can do it in 1 gallon. Not that I'll be as good as you in 1 gallon, but you know, help me jump there. And as you help me, you'll help the other viewers as well. So pretty happy with the tool. I'm pretty happy with, at least this is a starting point. Not going to do another one on this. I was planning on painting my workbench and doing a cleanup video and that, but as I let you know in my last video, I'm out of here and I'm going to be traveling, so I'm not going to have time to do any more paint videos, so they'll have to come when I'm actually doing the flip. So it'll be real world stuff with this, so look forward to that. Hey, thanks for dropping into the Smart Wood Shop. I hope you learned something here. Have a great day.